you know, so when you start planning, who are you involving? Or you've heard a little bit of that from David. And how are you thinking about setting goals? We'll start now with that.
Okay. So in terms of planning, we start in July, around the same time that I think probably most organizations are thinking about their year-end fund. And we really see the Amazing Raise as a piece of our annual fund. And we look at it as the kickoff to our fall giving season. As part of the fall season, we have a series of events that go on, and the Amazing Raise is really the first one. And so in terms of, you know, when we start planning, we start in the summer because it just makes the most sense to plan the entire fall out at one time.
Great.
Last year's Amazing Raise was September 17th and 18th. I started planning this year's Amazing Raise about September 16th of last year. I planned for the next Amazing Raise during the current Amazing Raise. The Amazing Raise, I develop a plan for constantly. I never stop planning for the Amazing Raise. Part of the Richmond Symphony's success in the Amazing Raise is always talking to people. So I'm always talking to people. David Fisk, the executive director, is always talking to people about the Symphony's commitment to the Amazing Raise. Scott Dodson always talking about the Amazing Raise, because our existing donors want to hear that we don't leave a single dollar on the table anywhere. That even an organization as large as the Symphony, every single dollar is somebody's dollar. So when we're talking about a fundraising campaign that involves very small gifts, and we're constantly talking about that, larger donors say, you respect the dollar. You respect the process of fundraising. And our plan for the Amazing Raise, my plan for the Amazing Raise, is out of date at 6:01 a.m. on Wednesday of the Amazing Raise. It's out of date. The Amazing Raise starts at 6 a.m. My fundraising plan's out of date at 6:01. It's already changed. And that Amazing Raise plan is different than the Amazing Raise plan I had at 5:30, half an hour before it started, which is different than the plan I had half an hour before, because things are going to happen. And by 6 p.m. on Thursday, I look back at the written plan. Remember, CPA, written plan. So I look back at the written plan and I go, wow, that didn't go anywhere near as I expected, both good and both bad. So in terms of when do we start planning, I never stop. And when I meet quarterly with David and Scott to brief them on next year's Amazing Raise, I'm always talking about the raise to them. I'm always talking about it to donors. And periodically they'll ask me to talk to a donor about the Amazing Raise. And yes, it's my plan, because I don't want Scott and David to have to devote any of their time to having an Amazing Raise plan. They need to go out and develop strategy to get the big tent. Have you all heard about that campaign, the Symphony's Big Tent? Thank you. So they need to develop their other plans, their endowment funds, and then they put me in charge of the Amazing Raise.
For those of you who have not been planning since last year, don't worry. Okay, because last year I was brought in to do the Amazing Raise at the end of July. I had 6 weeks, and we still raised over $15,000, and we didn't know what we were doing. So all of you who are in this room are way ahead of the game. So we are now planning for this year now. And because we're a small group, because we're all volunteer organization, that means things like making sure we have our donor lists complete and we know how to contact them. Some of the bigger organizations already have big programs that do that for them. We don't. So we're working on that. We are making sure we know every single person who has adopted a cat or dog from us and know how to contact them, because last year we found, in fact, that those folks like to donate to us. Who knew? So this has been a really big learning process for a very small group. So if you're just starting, you have more than enough time. You may turn into a fanatic and end up raising even more money than you thought we could. Our board had no faith in this effort whatsoever. They said, oh, if you get $2,000, that's amazing. We ended up getting over 15, and that was only with 6 weeks of not knowing what we were doing. So we are well ahead of the game now, and so are you.
Yeah, similar message from me. It was awesome in the panel preparation with David to hear about the amount of time he puts into this, which is admirable and beautiful, and I think our community is really well served. My word to you on that would just be to play to your strengths of what you have. And we do not start planning. We have been very successful in the Amazing Raise, and I'm grateful for that. I maybe should be ashamed to say that I don't do actually that much planning. I start my strategies when the Community Foundation gives me the prize list. And once I get that, then I start my own musings about what strategies I want to go for. And then I really only start bringing people into it really at the end of the summer, and then really rally kind of that home team sense. I think we'll probably get into some strategies too. I do think kind of having your home team people that are going to really engage with this and be your advocates is a key to being successful. But I think for me, I would also just say it's one of the great attractions to the Amazing Raise for a small organization like Blue Sky is that, you know, this is a really different set of people that you're trying to rally. Cultivation is year-round for us, not for the Amazing Raise, for Blue Sky. We are cultivating people to understand Blue Sky all year round. The Amazing Raise is a really easy, right at the moment, trying to capture them. And so that's kind of how we approach that. And because of that, don't need quite as much of a lengthy kind of planning and preparation process. I would say I think part of the question was also just about how we set our goals and who we involve. I do think that having key goals is really important. This past year's raise was the first time in our history that the strategy was to win. That was really hard and really difficult to actually plan as a strategy. And previously, when I knew I wasn't trying to win because we just knew that wasn't a right fit for us, going after really specific things and then sticking to that was what I think helped us be really successful over time. And I will also just kind of thank my staff publicly in this setting too, because sometimes I can get distracted, shall we say, and when we set out strategies, like I think this was 2 years ago, during the raise, I kind of my eyes got a little too big, and I was like, oh, but we're doing well, like, oh, we should do this, we should add on this strategy. And they're like, no, you told people to wait for the procrastinator's prize, you better wait for the procrastinator's prize. And we did, and we were successful all because of them and not because of me. And so I do think that kind of stick-toing whatever your preparation is and whatever you've communicated, whatever strategy you have decided is your strength as an organization, to kind of stick to it. And there's something for everybody. There are prizes I do not even attempt to win because it's not our strength as an organization. So know yourself well, know what you can do, and go really, really hard after that.